Seraphine Voss did not come back for him. She came back because the Eastern Reaches Pack needed a representative at the border summit, and she was the best one they had. She had confirmed, through 3 separate sources, that King Cayden Blackthorn would send delegates. Not himself, delegates. He sent himself. She saw him before he saw her. He was standing at the far end of the summit hall, tall and broad in his dark coat, speaking quietly with his beta. 5 years had added something to him. Not age exactly, but weight. The kind that settles into a man when he has been carrying something too long. Her boys were holding her hands on either side of her. Riker felt her stop. He looked up. "Mama?" "Keep walking," she said. They walked. She made it 11 steps before Cayden turned around. The entire room did not go quiet, only the part of it that mattered. His beta, Corvin, stopped speaking mid-sentence. 2 elder representatives near the door stepped back without knowing why. And Cayden Blackthorn, Alpha King of the 3 northern packs, went completely still, in a way that had nothing to do with composure and everything to do with shock. His eyes moved from her face to the boys. Riker tilted his head to one side. Then Rael tilted his head to exactly the same angle. They were 4 years old, and they did it at exactly the same time, like something pulled by the same invisible string. It was Rael who spoke. "Mama," he said, in his very serious, very quiet voice. "Why does that man smell like us?" Seraphine did not answer. She found Cayden's eyes across the room, and what was in her expression was not guilt. It was not apology. It was something that had been waiting 5 years to be seen, and was tired of waiting. She walked her sons to their seats, and the summit began. The official meetings lasted 3 days. Border rights, pack alliances, succession protocols for the Northern Territories. Seraphine sat at the table as head representative for the Eastern Reaches, and she was very good at her job. She spoke precisely. She listened better than anyone else in the room. She gave nothing away. Cayden watched her the way a man watches something he cannot touch, and cannot stop looking at. On the evening of the first day, he requested a private meeting. She agreed, because refusing would have created questions she did not want to answer. They met in one of the smaller rooms off the main hall. A fire, 2 chairs, a table between them that she was grateful for. "You left," he said. "Yes." "You didn't tell me." "No." He waited. He thought she would explain. She did not. Seraphine. Her name in his voice was the same as it had always been, and she resented it. "Those boys are mine," she said. "They are Eastern Reaches Pack. They have a home, and a life, and people who love them. That is not changing." "I'm not." He stopped, started again. "I would have chosen you." The look she gave him was not angry. Anger would have meant she still cared what he thought. It was something more contained than that. Something she had decided about a long time ago. "I know about the council document," she said. He went still again. "The one that outlined your political marriage, the one your advisors drafted." She kept her voice even. "It was dated 2 weeks before you told me you loved me. Did you know about it when you said it?" A long silence. "No," he said, "not then. But you knew shortly after." He did not deny it. "And you said nothing." She stood. "So please do not tell me what you would have chosen. You had time to choose. You chose quiet." She left. He stayed in the chair for a long time. The boys adapted to the summit grounds the way 4-year-olds adapt to everything, completely and without permission. By the second morning, Riker had identified every exit from the main building, befriended 2 of the kitchen staff, and decided that Corvin, the king's beta, was funny. Rael had not decided anything about anyone yet. Rael watched. He was the kind of child who watched. Seraphine kept them close. She was not afraid of the summit itself. She had been in rooms full of powerful people for years, and she knew how to manage it. What she was careful about was the specific way Cayden looked at her sons when he thought she wasn't watching. It was not the look of a king assessing heirs. It was worse than that. It was the look of someone realizing, very slowly, what he had missed, what had been growing without him, what had learned to walk and speak and track by scent without ever needing him. She found that harder to manage than anger would have been. On the second afternoon, she could not find Riker. She searched the east wing, then the courtyard, Then followed the sound of a small voice explaining something with great confidence. She found her son at the edge of the garden, crouched near the tree line, pointing at the ground and speaking to Caden Blackthorne, who was crouched next to him, listening. "The scent goes left here," Riker was saying, with the authority of someone who had been tracking animals in the eastern forests since he was 2. "You have to look at the ground, not the air. The air lies sometimes." "Who taught you that?" Caden asked. "Mama, and Elder Bowen, and also I figured some out myself." "Which parts did you figure out yourself?" Riker considered this seriously. "The part about the air." Caden nodded. Riker went back to examining the ground. Seraphine stood in the tree line and did not go in. She watched her son teach his father how to track, and she felt something move in her chest that she did not have a name for and did not want one. She went back inside. Queen Isolde Ashvane found her on the 3rd morning. Seraphine had expected this. She had, in fact, been waiting for it with the same calm readiness she brought to everything she was not looking forward to. Isolde was not what people expected when they heard political queen. She was not soft. She was not decorative. She had negotiated 3 of the Northern Alliance terms herself, and the council had let her, because she was better at it than they were. They walked together in the courtyard. Neither of them pretended this was a coincidence. "I'm not here to threaten you," Isolde said. "I know," Seraphine said. "And I'm not here to ask you to leave." "Also no." Isolde was quiet for a moment. "He's been suppressing the bond since before we married. You should know that. It's affecting his wolf. His instincts are dulling. The pack has noticed. Not openly, but they've noticed." Seraphine said nothing. "I'm not telling you because I want you to feel responsible," Isolde continued. "I'm telling you because you seem like someone who prefers to have complete information. Why does it matter what I know?" Isolde stopped walking. She looked at Seraphine directly. "Because I am very good at reading situations," she said. "And this one has been decided for longer than either of us has been in it." She walked back toward the building. At the door she paused. "My family's alliance does not require the marriage to continue," she said. "It requires the treaty. Those are different things. I think everyone has been pretending they are the same thing for a while now." She pushed the door open. "I thought you should know that too." She left. Seraphine stood in the courtyard for a long time. A bird landed on the wall nearby and left again. Somewhere inside, she could hear Riker laughing at something. She had not come here to fix anything. She had come here for the pack, for the treaty, for the work. She went back inside and fixed things anyway. The council moved on the 4th day. It was Elder Marin who made the formal request, phrased carefully, buried in procedural language, but clear enough. The twin boys carrying royal bloodline markers were, under Northern Pack succession law, subject to formal acknowledgement and assessment. The Crown had an obligation to document all potential heirs. It was not protocol. Protocol had never in 40 years been applied to a summit guest's children. It was a move, a clean political move designed to force Seraphine's hand. Submit the boys to royal authority and lose her leverage. Refuse and give the council grounds to declare them illegitimate. Seraphine had the counter-proposal drafted within 12 hours. She had been holding 3 alliance favors for exactly this kind of moment. She called all 3. By the next morning, 2 other pack representatives had co-signed a formal objection. Any succession claim touching Eastern Reach's bloodline would require Eastern Reach's council approval. The proposal was airtight. She delivered it to the summit table with the same expression she used for every other document. Caden overruled his council before the session ended. He did not look at her when he did it. He looked at Elder Marin and said, in a voice that left no room, that the matter was closed. The boys were guests of the summit. They were under his personal protection. Any further procedural action on the subject would be treated as a challenge to that protection. Elder Marin sat down. Corvin, behind the king's left shoulder, looked at the ceiling briefly in a way that might have been relief. Seraphine gathered her papers. She did not say thank you. She did not need to. But after the room had mostly emptied, she walked past him on her way to the door and slowed for just a moment. "You did that well," she said quietly. He turned to look at her. Something in his face was different. Lighter, maybe. Less compressed. "I should have been doing it for 5 years," he said. She nodded once and walked out. The summit ended on the 6th day. The treaty was signed. The eastern reaches got better border terms than they had come expecting. The royal pack received guaranteed passage rights through the eastern mountains. 3 alliances were restructured, 2 old disputes were formally closed, and 1 political marriage was quietly, and by mutual agreement, dissolved. Isolde had negotiated her family's terms herself. She walked away with more than she arrived with, which was, apparently, what she always did. She said goodbye to Seraphine on the steps of the summit house. Just the 2 of them, briefly, while the carriages were brought around. "He won't rush you," Isolde said. "He shouldn't," Seraphine said. "No, but he'll want to." A slight smile. "He's been wanting to do the right thing for a while now. He just kept choosing the quiet thing instead." She glanced back at the building. "That's over, I think." Her carriage came. She got in. That was the end of that. Rael decided about Caden on the last evening. Seraphine was packing. Riker was asleep already. One arm thrown over his face the way he always slept, taking up 3 times more space than his body required. Rael was supposed to be asleep. He was not asleep. She found him sitting in the corridor outside their rooms, back against the wall, knees pulled up. He had his father's eyes, silver, serious, and currently fixed on the middle distance. "Rael." "I was thinking," he said. "You can think in bed. I can think better out here." He looked up at her. "Is that man going to come to the eastern forests?" She sat down next to him on the floor. "I don't know. Riker wants him to." "I know. Riker decides fast," Rael said, in a tone that made clear this was a known limitation of his brother. "I decide slower. That's not a bad thing." He was quiet. Then he listened to Riker really carefully. "About the tracking. I know. I saw. Most adults don't listen to us that carefully." He considered this. "He smells worried. Not scary worried. Like," he searched for the word, "like he doesn't want to do the wrong thing." Seraphine looked at her son, 4 years old, and already reading people better than most adults she knew. She did not know whether to be proud or heartbroken, so she was both at once. "Yeah," she said. "He doesn't want to do the wrong thing." "Okay," Rael said. He stood up, with the decisive efficiency of someone who had reached a conclusion and was ready to act on it. "I decided." "What did you decide?" "He can come to the forests." He went back into the room. "Good night, Mama." "Good night, baby." She sat in the corridor a little longer. The house was quiet. Through the window at the end of the hall, the sky was starting to go dark blue at the edges. That particular blue that comes just before the real dark, when everything is still visible, but nothing is quite clear. She found Caden at the edge of the grounds an hour later. He was standing at the tree line, looking out at nothing in particular. She did not plan to go out there. She went anyway. They stood side by side for a while, not speaking. In the distance, an owl called once and then stopped. "Rael decided you can come to the forests," she said. He turned to look at her. "Rael decided?" "He's the one who takes time. When he decides something, it stays decided." Caden was quiet for a moment. "And Riker?" "Riker decided on day 1. A small sound from him. Not quite a laugh. Something softer than that. The wind moved through the trees. The blue at the edges of the sky deepened. Somewhere behind them, the summit house was being shut down for the night, windows going dark one by one. "I'm not asking you for anything," he said. "I know. He stopped. "I want to know them. I want to be someone they can trust, whatever that takes." She looked out at the tree line. "It takes time," she said, "and showing up, and not choosing quiet when something hard needs to be said." "I know. Do it anyway, even when it's hard." She paused. "That's all." He nodded. They stayed at the edge of the grounds until the last light was gone, not touching, not resolving anything, just standing in the same direction, looking at the same dark, with 5 years between them and something unfinished ahead. The boys were asleep inside. The work was ahead of them. It was enough, for now, to begin.